evening. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Rochelle. Hey, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, ladies. So this evening we are talking to Anine. Anine, good evening, welcome. We are talking to Anine, and she is representing Genesis Reproductive Centre, and they are out in Kloof. So I don't know if you guys joined us last week, you will remember that we spoke to Dr. Deo, Deo. She's one of the fertility specialists and director at Genesis. So this week we're talking to Anine. She's a psychologist, and she helps women that is dealing with infertility, the emotional aspects of it, psychological aspects of it, because obviously it plays a major role, if not one of the biggest roles. So Anine has joined. She's here, and we're just going to invite her. Anine, you can just... There's a delay, but we're just going to push through, and then we're going to get there. Hi, Gwen. So like I said, we're speaking to Anine. I'm going to talk about emotional aspects of it. And I am preparing for it emotionally, mentally. Like I said, one of the biggest role players when it comes to dealing with infertility. So just going to give it a few minutes. If you guys have any questions, please pop it in the comments section. And yeah, we hope that she can answer some of your questions. If you are looking at joining a support group, ladies, we have a support group happening in Cape Town. I know there's one in Pretoria as well. I think Genesis runs that one. So please feel free to get a hold of us. And then we can put you in contact with it. So we've got a question that came in now about how much does IVF cost. There are different prices to IVF. For those who, there we go, Genesis is here. From those of you who don't know, there are different costs. It depends on what you need, what is required, but obviously that you can discuss with your clinic. So please get in contact with your clinic, and they can give you the prices of it.
Or if you are looking for any recommendations, please contact me.
Yeah, contact me. The email is...
Have a look at the Fertility Solutions website.
Yes.
You can definitely recommend
a clinic that can assist you with the price with regards to that. So, because she was here a few seconds ago. There we go. Okay. Was there, and then I think, hi Zena. Please let us know if you see Anine at some point. Because like I said to you guys, there has been an issue with Instagram, but eventually she does come on, and we'll just wait for her to go live with us. And then you can just send me a request again, and then it will go. Okay. Do you guys have any questions while we wait? Myself and Lizana, how can increase good egg quality? So there are a few ways to do that. I think we are doing a talk. I actually wrote an article about it today, your AMH levels. And so go have a look at the website. On the website, you look under articles, go to fertilitysolutions.co.za. You go to articles, and you'll be able to see the latest articles on how to increase your low AMH and what is AMH. But we actually talked about it a while ago in one of our talks, and
at a
support group. Yeah. One of the doctors was actually at the support group, and she actually went through this with us, and she explained about it. It's I don't want to say it's controversial, but it's as if you're bored with certain. So I don't actually want to answer that. Yeah. I don't want to answer that. I think I need to read that for the professional. Yeah. You can read the article, but I do suggest you could actually email me, and I'll gladly send you an email to one of the doctors, and they can rather respond to that. Because, like I said, it's not a question that I can just answer. I won't feel comfortable answering that question. So it's keep saying it's unable to join Genesis. So here we go. There we go. Anine. You need to just there we go. We did it. You see, and
Finally,
we just keep on. Eventually, we just keep on, and then it happens. Yeah. Like I said, I realized this morning after our video, after our test, that the actual problem is that Instagram has a delay. So it's just, you just have to keep on, and eventually it just gets in. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So this is Rizana. I don't know if you remember Rizana. So I'm just trying to make sure Rizana is introduced to everyone. So once when I can't do a video, Rizana would be doing the live, so everyone doesn't get a shock and it's like, who's this girl?
Yes,
Where am I going to? But Rizana is here, and I will also be here. So we're talking about the emotional and psychological aspects of going through infertility and the fertility treatment. You know, I think, I don't want to, I stand to be corrected, but I think it takes up most of, if there was an emotional aspect when it comes to doing fertility treatments, it would be easier. But unfortunately, the two go together,
Yeah.
So that is what we're going to speak about today. And we're going to go through, maybe before we go through the questions, maybe you can just introduce yourself to everyone, where you're from, who you're representing.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Anine Van Zyl. I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm in practice in Pretoria, and I am representing Genesis Reproductive Centre.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so Anine, you deal with patients, is it largely with patients that's going through fertility treatments?
Yes. Occasionally I see someone who's contemplating treatment, but most of the time I see people who are already in the treatment process.
Okay. Okay. So can you outline the emotional and psychological aspects of undergoing fertility treatments?
Okay, I've got a few things that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
I think in general, there's not enough preparing around mental and emotional aspects of treatment. And I think especially because fertility treatment tends to impact your whole being. It impacts your person, it impacts your close relationships, it impacts your social relationships, it impacts your work, it impacts your finances, it impacts you on a deeply spiritual and religious level as well. So I think because of that incredible impact on it, it's so important to do the work on this. And we know with fertility treatment, it can sometimes be a bit of a drawn-out process. So for some people, it's a really quick sprint, but for a lot of patients, it ends up being almost like a comrades that they have to run. And you can't tackle anything like that without doing the preparation for it, making yourself as resilient as you can.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I don't know if there's only one.
Sure. And so what support services are available to help individuals? Now, I know in Cape Town, we've got the support group going, fertility solutions. Would something like that be beneficial, and what other services are available to support individuals and couples going through fertility treatments?
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you very loudly. I think in Pretoria we have individual work. We have a support group here that meets once every 2 months, which I think is a wonderful way to get people together. And for a lot of people, they build really nice connections. And oftentimes it's really good to get someone else going through the experience, just to normalize your own experience. Because I do think a big part of what happens to people in fertility treatment is a strong sense of isolation and feeling very alone in this. even if you have a partner, even if you're in a really close relationship, I often see clients, and one of the first things that they tell me is how alone they feel in this. So I think reaching out, connecting, support groups are incredibly powerful in the process.
Yeah. Okay. We were actually just telling people about the support group in Cape Town as well as the support group at Genesis as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, I mean, for me, I've been through fertility treatments, and the support group was really I've met such amazing people. And just to be able to relate to people going through what you're going through, it makes the journey a bit more bearable.
Absolutely.
To have someone in your corner.
And I think the other thing is that fertility patients tend to be a group that are very generous in sharing things that work for them. So it's a wonderful source of information oftentimes. I've heard so many people come up with lovely ideas and wonderful things. Everyone said, I'm going to try that. I'm going to remember it. And it seems to be very legitimate if it comes from someone in the same position to find yourself.
Can it assist you? Sorry, can it assist you when you have a good support system? You know, when you're starting out the journey of fertility treatments, and you're starting it out with having a support system in place, as in, you know, sometimes we can't just speak to our partners about it, certain things, or you can't discuss that with your doctor. But when you have like a group, a support system like you have there at Genesis as well, and you attend the support groups, or even speaking to someone one-on-one if you can't speak in a group, does it make some sort of difference, if any, when you're going through the treatments? Maybe even, I don't want to talk, I'm sure you can't give me a percentage or anything, but some sort of success rate, even better, or increases some chance of something. You know, when your mind is at ease and your mind is also, you know, with you, basically.
You know, I think if there's no connection, there can't be any movement. And if there can't be any movement, then you're stuck. So the connection is such a crucial part of being able to build resilience, being able to tolerate a lot of difficult things. I can't give you exact numbers, but anything that you can do to bring your stress levels down and to give you that sense of connection is incredibly important. And like you said, oftentimes people find it difficult to speak to a partner. And I'm often quite surprised when I see someone in the practice how much miscommunication there can be between you and your partner, or you and significant other. People tend to want to protect one another from what they're feeling, but the communication is so important. I think this is a very good time in your life where you have to make sure that you're very connected to your partner, you communicate clearly, you have fun together, you spend time together, because it's so easy to kind of lose one another in this process.
If you don't mind, could you maybe give us some tips to those that's out there that's about to do fertility treatments, that's on their journey? Do you have any tips or advice on what they can do while mentally to help them stay, you know, be at peace or at ease, you know, going through this treatment and this process? What can they do to help them?
I think probably one of the biggest things to do is to be flexible, because we know this treatment road is one when things change quite quickly. I mean, the number of embryos can change, medication changes, treatment changes. So if you hold on too tightly to a specific frame in which you've slotted everything, and you have a very specific idea of a timeline and dates, that does make it very hard. So I think that's one of the first things that you can look at, is knowing that this is probably not going to turn out exactly the way you thought it was going to be, and try and be as flexible as you can in there. I just want to mention something when we talk about flexibility. I often see in my practice patients who come who for the first time realize that there was something significantly wrong in terms of infertility the first time they come to an infertility specialist. So that's their first realization, and suddenly they get dropped into a world of treatment and language and procedures, and they have to very quickly reorientate themselves in terms of how this is going to work for them. And before you start the process, especially, I think it's important to take a moment and look at any acute feelings of grief and loss that might come from dealing with the loss of fertility before you even start the process. I don't know if that kind of resonates
Yes.
with anyone.
Yeah. And what about yeah, carry on, sorry.
And I think the other thing that is really important aside from being flexible is really prioritizing yourself, because this is the one time in your life you really have to look after yourself. You have to look at what are the things that give you energy, what are the things that give you joy, what are the things that make you feel relaxed and calm, at ease. There's such a beautiful word in psychology now. They talk about glimmers. Glimmers are those moments of complete and utter calmness where everything just makes sense and you experience joy. That's the things that we are looking at bringing in as much as possible. You want a regulated nervous system, so you're going to try and do things that give you energy, which sometimes means you have to look at the things that don't bring you energy and don't bring you joy, and maybe lessening a little bit of that in your life. And I think as in general, we all struggle a little bit with saying no and putting down boundaries, but this is a time that you really have to prioritize yourself and your energy and your capacity, because like we said, it is a bit of a comrade's responsibility.
Yeah. I've got a question for you. Does it help? So what we've done is, like the Zana, somebody, I don't want to mention the name, but somebody's actually started writing down their feelings and their thoughts while they've been on treatment, and they've written a letter. And even if the person, someone reading it doesn't know who it is that's written it, or even if you don't put it out there, you know, does that help you? Or is it recommended?
Absolutely, it helps for more than one reason. It helps to just express, and some people find writing a very creative process and they can release a lot of what they're feeling. And I think sometimes what's also important is to be able to name the feeling, because we can sit with a bit of a yucky feeling and we're not quite sure what we're feeling. But when you sit down and you're able to name the feeling, it's oftentimes easier to deal with it. So naming it, validating it, even sitting with where in your body do you feel this feeling? Where is it coming from? And then dealing with that. Because we know that unexpressed feelings are really bad ones. Feelings that are buried and not dealt with tends to come back in an uglier form. So if you feel something, express it, especially crying. I see with some patients, they really want to be brave, but sometimes it's really good just to have a good cry. It releases a lot of oxytocin and it releases endorphins, so it's good for you. And there are a lot of places to cry. You can cry in the car and you can cry in the shower. Don't necessarily have to have audience, but please don't suppress what you feel. Let it come up rather than bury it.
Yeah, I think it's important to validate your feelings.
Okay.
And I mean, there's sorry.
No, I'm listening. Sorry, there's a delay. You carry on.
And I think with managing stress in general, there's no one size fits all. You have to look at things that worked for you in the past, things that you find work for you now. But having some practices in place usually help. Try and find an app or on a website or something that gives you tips on how to be mindful in the process. There are quite a lot of fertility places where you can find really nice meditations that you can download. Anything that kind of helps you manage your stress. And be aware of the things that trigger you to certain places, certain people, going to a store tea, those things. Look at what are the things that probably will take more energy than you have for that day, and then seek support around what you have. I think it's an evolving process, but because it can kind of get to be so good, you still need everything else in your life, because sometimes patients get lost in this bubble of fertility treatments and they forget about the world outside. So it's really important to deal with the stress, and it's easier not to get stuck in that little bubble. And we all know there's a lot of emotions coming up. You'll probably feel things in fertility treatment that you've never felt. And you will experience things at a level of intensity and almost to the point of overreaction, much more than you will ever again. So realize and be kind and gentle to yourself that what you are feeling is completely okay, it's valid, it's fine, and it's normal. And I think that's sometimes difficult for patients because they try and do it differently. But there's so much to feel, and rather feel everything. Just stay with the process, step by step, and deal with the emotions with where you are at. I think Dr. Deo, who spoke last week, said to me the other day, it's really important to break down this process into small little bits and then really celebrate every stage that you get to and everything good that is there.
That is actually something I was going to mention, the small wins. So we always mention that in our support group, and everyone will always mention we celebrate the small wins. And it's very important, I think. I never even thought of it at some point, but after hearing it so much, I'm realizing I need to celebrate the small wins, and that goes for everyone that's on this journey. Like Dr. Dare said, like I think a few months ago, she mentioned, like if you go to that first appointment, celebrate that as a small win. You took the step, you're there, you went for that appointment, So I don't know if someone just posted, someone posted to ask a question. She's saying she has a first appointment with a specialist next month and are already feeling so exhausted and discouraged from the journey. Any tips to keep going, to keep pushing?
I think keep your eye on your end goal. That's one thing. And try and stay away from that rabbit hole of reading too much and going too in depth into other stories. Because I think it can easily happen that you do a lot of reading because gathering information is a coping mechanism and it's a resource. It's good to know, and a lot of people really need to know. But sometimes by the time they go to the doctor, they've kind of gone through a multiple number of scenarios and they've got all these voices in their heads of other people's stories. I think it's important to stick to your story, stay with what you have. I think there's a beautiful quote by Mark Twain that says, I've lived through some horrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. And that can easily happen. We have all these possible scenarios. Our body experiences all of this stress connected to each one of them as fully as if we're doing it, we're experiencing. But it's not really helpful at some point to have too much going on in terms of information.
Thank you very much. I don't know, Rosanna, do you have any questions you want to ask or anything you want to say? Okay. We actually started posting, anyone, if you want to get your story, like we were talking about, writing down your emotions and what you feel and so forth while you're on this journey. So any out there that if you want to tell us your story, you want to submit your story, you can do it anonymously. You can just pop me an email or DM me, send me your email, send me your story. We'll gladly post it in our newsletter, which you can subscribe to on our website, www.fertilitysolutions.co.za, and we'll gladly post your story. But I mean, like I said, you can keep it anonymous. Maybe it's just a way for you to get your story out there. You'll get your frustrations or what you're feeling, your emotions out there while you are on this journey. Thank you very much, Anine, for joining us this evening. It's been such so amazing talking to you, listening to what you have to say, and I hope that whoever's out there and listening can use what they have heard from you this evening while they're on their journey. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
And thank you, Fab. Good luck to everyone else.
Thanks, Anine. Have a great evening. If you guys, so just remember, Genesis also has a fertility support group. If you guys are in the Pretoria area, please get hold of Genesis Reproductive Centre. You can contact them. If you want their number, please contact me, or you go over to their website or the Instagram page and you can get their details there. You can contact them and find out when their support group is. Because I do think it's important and it's extremely helpful to be part of a support group when you're on this journey. So thank you everyone for joining us and have a great evening.
And we will also be sending out our dates
for the Cape Town one. Absolutely. Thanks, Rosanna. Thanks, guys. Bye.